Hello, my fellow Ripplers. This is Chris Miles, your cash flow expert and anti financial advisor. Welcome to our show. This show is for you. You that work so hard for your money and you're now ready for your money. Start working harder for you today. You want that freedom of cash flow right now, not 30 or 40 years from now, if you're lucky, but you want that life that you can live and love today, especially living that life that those that you love. But most importantly, guys, it's about living a rich life because as you're blessed financially, you have a greater capacity to bless the lives of those around you. And guys, you know that if you can become work optional, this allows you to be able to have the freedom, the time freedom, especially to be able to do your passions, to be able to live that kind of life, to be able to spend more time with your family, to teach your children, have more opportunities to do so. And yes, you could do it when you're not free, but imagine how much more freedom you have and greater power and ability you have to bless the lives of your family, to be able to do the things that you love. And especially where you work optional, you work because you want to, not because you have to. And that gives you the freedom to be able to truly, truly be a force to be reckoned with in this world, hopefully a force for good. Thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for allowing me to create a ripple effect through you. Guys, I'm so excited here today because I want you to do this one thing. If you haven't done so already, and you're looking for a way to be able to figure out how to create passive income, go to our website, moneyripples.com. Try that passive income calculator now to see how much passive income you could create in the next 12 months or so. So go check that out today.
Chris Miles was able to retire twice by the time he was 39 years old. But he's not content to just enjoy his own financial freedom and peace of mind. Chris wants you to have your own ripple effect so you can live free today. He's not the financial advisor you expected. He's the anti-financial advisor you deserve. He's jumping behind the mic right now, ready to make waves. Here's Chris Miles.
So today I want to address something that's a little bit of a myth in the financial world today, and I've heard more people talking about it, and I want to clarify upon it. How many of you have heard that the true measure of wealth, and I don't mean happiness, and I don't mean your relationships or health is wealth. Those are all great things, and I would agree with that too. But when it comes to financial health, like the financial wealth, they'll say the true measure is your net worth, right? You've heard that before. Is that really true? Is net worth really your financial measure of wealth? I'm going to say something that you probably won't hear too often, and I'm going to call bull. It's not. Now, net worth is an effect, but it's not the cause that creates wealth. In fact, I've seen many people, many times, many of you as listeners, that you're starting to have a pretty good net worth, but you don't feel any more free. Not the freedom like I described, not the freedom where you say, you know what, I wish I could back off my hours to 20 hours a week, even. I have one client right now. She said, I'm tired of working 50 or 60 hours. If I could just work 20 hours, I'm good at my job. I like it. But if I could just do 20 hours and have some freedom to be able to do more with my time and do other things outside of work, that would be awesome. And I know there's many of you like that. And some of you might even have net worth, maybe not just hundreds of thousands of dollars. You might even have millions of dollars, at least a few million or more of net worth. And yet you don't feel a whole lot more free. Yes, you might have a great income. Yes, you know that everybody's looking at your life and they're jealous of it. Just like a guy I talked to today was doing a mobile auto repair on my car. He came over, he said, oh, I know this financial advisor. He's 65 years old. He looks like he's doing pretty well for himself. And I said, well, it means he's got money under management. He's making a good income. That doesn't mean if they took that income away from him, he'd be able to be free, does it? It's like, no, I guess not. Well, there's some of you out there that maybe you could be free, even free this year, if you turn that money from net worth to passive income. And that's where the real power is. I'm not saying it's one or the other, but if I were to choose one or the other, I would choose passive income all day long. Why? Because I experienced it firsthand. I remember when the first time I was able to retire, not even just the second time, and really applies to both. Now I think about it, because the first time I was able to retire, my net worth wasn't huge at all. I would even say my net worth was probably less than 100 grand a 100 grand total. But when I started having passive income coming in that was paying me, and it paid me, I only needed 3,500 a month to actually be out of the rat race, quote unquote, back in that time. It was pretty awesome. It was amazing, actually, because I never knew that level of freedom was possible without having to save up a lot of money. Understand that financial advisors and those in the financial world will tell you that you should have higher net worth, bigger savings, bigger nest eggs, right? You build up accumulate this huge nest egg, and then you can live on less than the interest. They've trained you to do this. And yes, there is a effect of taking net worth to create some dividends or cash flow from it. But in the traditional world, it doesn't do a whole lot for you. In our world, what I've learned is that truthfully, net worth will help you, and especially if you want to create real, true passive income. Net worth will help a lot, but it's not everything. It's about how that net worth will pay you. In fact, I would much rather, if I had to choose one or the other, I would rather have a low net worth, high passive income than a high net worth and little to no passive income. Maybe you agree, maybe you don't. But that's what I've experienced is that there's more freedom when you know the income's always coming in. Because what's the whole point of you accumulating money into net worth, anyways? You want it to hopefully turn into cash flow, income someday, don't you? Even retirement accounts. Most people, when I really ask them, I said, do you really just want a big balance or do you want that big balance to pay you? Every time, 100% of the time, people say, I want it to pay me. I want it to somehow turn into income, if not now, down the road. Guys, you can have income now and down the road if you play your cards right. And when I say play your cards right, I mean, don't listen to financial advisors. Do more like what we talk about here, which is how do you take your money to create passive income? So let me show you something here. I'm going to share actually something I've taught a lot of my clients and I actually haven't taught them lately, but I want to show this to you. I actually took this, it's kind of a deviation, a slight alteration from what Robert Kiyosaki talks about a lot, but I kind of changed it into my own formula here. So when you look at cause and effect, I always love cause and effect, right? Because if you do X, if Y is the result, you want to keep doing X a lot of time. Well, assuming that you want Y as that result, you want to keep doing X, right? Well, we know that everything starts with income. Now, income, you have that money coming in, expenses are going to come out. Income minus expenses equals cash flow, which is, in other words, what's left over after you've paid your bills. That's what we talk about as cash flow. It's also profit when you take a business term with this. Profit, same thing. Income, take out your expenses, what you're left is cash flow. Now you have two choices with your cash flow. One, you can put it into an asset. That asset could even be as simple as a savings account. And as that savings account grows, guess what? Your now net worth grows, doesn't it? Same thing though, your cash flow could also be used to pay down a liability. Liabilities like loans. It could be paying down a credit card or a car loan or a mortgage or whatever it might be. And as you pay those loan balances down, guess what? Net worth increases. So the real aspect, if you want more net worth, is to focus on this. How do you have more cash flow? The greater the cash flow and the wiser you are with that cash flow, the greater the net worth. Notice I had to throw that caveat in there. You have to be a wise steward, of course, right? Now, vice versa. What if you have less income than expenses? What if you have more bills to pay than you have money coming in every month? In other words, you're not even making it every month. You're in a whole different kind of rat race, right? You're in a rat race where you're losing each month. Well, what happens is you'll have a negative cash flow. Well, if you have more expenses than you have income, you got to do one of two things. One, you either dip into your assets, you pull money out of savings and use that, or two, you run up a credit card or something. You start charging that up, and if you want to keep preserving your savings or whatever savings you might or might not have, you go to the credit card, you run that bill up, and so your liabilities go up. And what happens? Your net worth goes down. So notice that the true cause of net worth is your cash flow. That is the real cause. So the biggest thing you want to do here is how do we increase your income and also be wise with your expenses so that you have more cash flow, more money left over each and every month. I'm telling you, I mentioned this last week about the economic winter coming. One of the best things you can do right now is find ways to increase your income, both actively through your business or your job, or passively by investing your money. Get it working harder for you so you don't have to work so hard for it. Those are the easiest things you can do, but also be wise with your expenses. Control it. Start tracking your money. If you're not tracking your money each and every week, start now. I've told people, even if you use something like a simple spreadsheet, that's better than nothing. I like using Mint. Mint is a nice, easy tool to use. It's free. So even if you're paycheck to paycheck, you can afford this. But Mint's got some great tools that allows you to track your money because just tracking your money alone will help you recapture more funds. I found this with hundreds and hundreds of clients that we've worked with. Just watching your money helps you be a wiser steward of your money. It's when you ignore it, you turn a blind eye to it, you don't look at what's going on, that's when you tend to spend the most money. And this is also true, even if you're a big saver, just being wise, watching your money, finding out what you can do to get rid of expenses that aren't serving you anymore. That expense is no longer good in your life, get rid of it. Do that. Focus on getting that cash flow, that money left over every month, get it bigger and bigger. So now you have options. You can invest it, you can build up your assets, build up your savings or invest, or you can pay off debt. Whichever one, in my opinion, helps give you the best leg up. By the way, when I look at this, like when I look at somebody will ask me, well, should I pay off this student loan? Should I pay off this debt or that debt? Well, let's take a look. If you invested that money, so you had an extra, just for easiness sake, say an extra 10,000 bucks, you go and invest it. And let's say that makes you $80 a month. Let's just say it's like a good return, right? Making 10% a year, that's 80 bucks a month. But you can take that same 10,000, pay off a credit card, and maybe that frees up 200 or 300 bucks a month. Well, if you needed cash flow and you need it fast, go there. So I would pay off that credit card instead of investing it. Yes, I could do that. But if I know I can make more money by paying off that guaranteed payment loan or that credit card or whatever it might be, I know exactly how much money I'm going to free up. Where if I invest it, I might not know exactly what it is. And especially if you're gambling within the stock market or into crypto and things like that, even worse. If you're trying to buy up a ton of gold and silver, even worse. By the way, there is a time to buy gold and silver. I believe that. I'm even say there could be a time to buy crypto and even stocks. Now is not that time. Not yet. Okay. At least that's my opinion. You could take it for whatever you want, but I'm not giving investment advice. There's my disclaimer. But I don't think that time is quite yet. Otherwise, I'd be jumping all over it, and I'd probably tell you about it if I were. Um, but what I am saying is this: is that paying off those loans could be awesome. Now, you could be investing it because sometimes paying off those loans, you might look at it and say, "Well, okay, I've got this student loan. I owe 30,000 bucks. If I pay it off, I free up 300 bucks a month. And it's lower interest. I'd say, nope, don't do it." Even a car loan. If I had a car loan, well, I do have a car loan. I actually just got a car loan at 3.7% interest. I'm not going to pay that sucker off extra early, right? I'm going to take advantage of that. I will invest my money rather than pay cash for that car. Now, I know there's a lot of people, even in my space, even people that are investors in real estate will say, no, no, pay cash for cars. You could. They'll tell you, well, you should do that, Chris. You should do that because it's a depreciating asset. And my response is, it's a depreciating asset, whether I pay cash for it or not. So if I'm going to pay cash for something, should I buy an appreciating asset, a real asset? And then let the bank take the risk. By the way, at 3.7%, come on, let's be honest. With true rates of inflation, I'm making money. Okay. That's ridiculous. So that's my point. Is like I'm going to put my money where it serves me best. So again, I look at cash flow overall, but yes, I look at what also adjusts and helps influence that net worth too. But remember, cause and effect. Cash flow is the cause, net worth is the effect. So when people say net worth is a big thing for you, I say net worth is worth less than cash flow. It's not worthless, but it's worth less than what I can do with cash flow because I can take cash flow and increase my net worth quickly. Net worth, turning that into cash flow, great. But that's the effect that it took cash flow to get there. You don't just have net worth appear out of thin air. Well, unless you inherit it. But for that, the other 99% of us that won't be inheriting jack squat, okay, this is all required by us increasing income, being wise with our expenses. Notice I didn't say just reduce expenses. Yes, you can reduce, but I don't want you living on rice and beans, sacrificing and making your life suck. Okay. You can still enjoy life, but be wise, prioritize where you're putting your money, and then take that cash flow, either buy assets, good assets, not crazy assets, speculative assets. That's why I'm not a big fan of the stock market. Buy real assets like real estate and or pay down loans. That's what you do with it. Just like that diagram I'd shown you earlier. That is the secret. That is the key to building up your net worth. Take it from a guy who, as you've heard my story, if you've at least watched or listened to it minimum 3, 4, 5 of these episodes, you know that my story was I went over $1 million in debt. I was negative easily. Even when you factor in any assets, if I could sell off everything, I was still at least $500,000 in debt, like negative equity, upside down. So being, say, $500,000, and maybe it was more. I got to go back and look at my numbers again to see what the actual net worth was at that time. Because I was over $1 million in debt, but I had some assets like a house to sell off, even though I sold off for a lot less than I bought it for. I had cars and vehicles that, yes, there were some real assets there and houses, right? But even after I sold everything off, which eventually I did, other than one vehicle, after I sold everything off, I still had over a good pile of debt. I would say over 500,000. So I was negative net worth, guys, negative net worth. But I knew the answer was cash flow. How do I increase income? How can I keep my expenses reduced or at least at a minimum? And I did that. I focused on that completely. And even though I went through a divorce in 2015, and at least by that time, at least I got to the point where I was almost breaking even or just about breaking even on my net worth by that point, still the big focus was building up that cash flow. How do I have more than enough cash coming in? And then when I do have cash, investing it to buy assets that then kick off passive income. The next thing you know, by the end of 2016, I was out of the rat race again. Now I got my expenses down minimally. I only need about 8 or 9,000 a month by that point. So it wasn't like I had this grandiose lifestyle, right? But still, that was the key. That was the secret that got me there. Finding ways to create passive income that keep paying you each and every month. That's what's important. There's where true freedom is. Net worth, I'm here to tell you, some of our best clients have they are asset rich, cash poor. They have great net worth, but it's not turning into passive income. If this is you, by the way, you should be talking to us. You should be reaching out to us. You should be trying that passive income calculator to see what your numbers are. If you don't have high net worth, you're probably going to realize that your numbers aren't going to be as high on the passive income calculator. But don't fret. There's still hope in that sense. It's just how do I get my active income up more so I can save more? I'll tell you, we had actually, well, the interview just recently came out, but we've had clients. When I've talked about this before, we've had clients where they had good cash flow. They didn't have the biggest net worth because they had so much extra left over every month. We said, you know what? Regardless, even though we usually tell people if you don't have at least 150 or 200,000 to invest, it's probably not worthwhile hiring us 6 coaches. But in this case, they didn't have that much money. But when they could pack away $7,000 a month, that's 84,000 a year. I made an exception. I said, listen, this person, if they keep their cash flow going, they're going to surpass some of these people that have 300, 400, 500,000 to invest today because they can turn that cash around faster. Where some of those people, yeah, they might have 300, 400, 500,000 to invest, but they're still living paycheck to paycheck. They're living a great lifestyle and they're eating up all their extra expenses. Yeah, they're saving a little bit, but someone saving 7,000 a month will eventually beat someone saving 1,000 or 2,000 a month. That's the key. Cash flow is the secret. That's what creates more net worth. And then from that net worth, you can then turn into other passive income to then create more freedom to become work optional. You work because you want to, not because you have to. So again, guys, if you want to see if you have great net worth right now, try out our calculator, see what it comes up with, see what kind of numbers you can actually create on the passive income side that can then accelerate building your net worth even more. Guys, remember, cash flow is the cause, net worth is the effect. Now go and make it a wonderful and prosperous week, and we'll see you later.